Fall camp intel. We've got it fresh out of the oven. I have been on the road all week. I have been at several different fall camps. I've watched practices. I've watched scrimmages. Let's talk about it. First up, Georgia. Latest intel out of there confirms what I have suspected, and that is they may not go 12-0. They may lose one game. They may lose 4 games. They will not lose for the same reasons they lost last year. They have been maniacal, and they have been very, very aggressive at course correcting the problems they had last year, which is not a shock because I think this is the best coaching staff in the country, top to bottom. They will not lose this year because they couldn't run the ball. They will not lose because of porous offensive line play. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think they'll lose because receivers can't catch a cold. I don't think that'll happen again this year. In fact, I think wide receiver may be the alpha position group on this team. And I can tell you confidently, I've never said that about a Kirby Smart team. I've never said that about a Georgia team, I don't think. So I know the dynamic has changed there. And it's very nuanced when you talk about this stuff. Last year, Georgia had really good personnel. They always will. They recruit at a certain level. There is a thing that happens, though, in college football when you have multiple 3rd, 4th, 5th year guys. They don't stop working hard, but there's almost like a redundancy to it at that point. And elite players go to Georgia for 3 years and they're in the NFL. So when you're there a 4th or a 5th year, you're great and you're a glue guy and you're a program guy. But sometimes the passion and the fire and the edge you have to win these knife fights is not there. And I think that bit them at times last year. And I don't think that'll be the same problem they have this year. If they got problems, there'll be new problems. But I trust the passion and hunger of this team. I trust it implicitly. So look, you may watch guys blow a coverage or blow an assignment. It's not because they were unwilling to go over the cliff to do it. I think the competitive consistency will be at a higher level, wire to wire this year for Georgia. And I also think the offensive line and ground game, if the intel that we're getting out of fall camp is any indication, it'll be good. It'll be plenty good enough to win with. Now, the follow-up to that, and I'm thinking about that offensive line, I said in my SEC predictions, I think the Georgia offensive line is the most important position group in this conference because if they are A- or better on offensive line, they probably win the league title, or at the very least, they're right there playing someone for the league title. And it also impacts Florida, it impacts Bama, it impacts Ole Miss, it impacts Texas because they play them all. However, if I'm wrong and they're just inconsistent or maybe they have injuries like they did last year, they're not going to be in Atlanta, and it's going to open the door for someone else. So I am very, very bullish on them. And by that, I mean not having the same problems they had last year. Just the wide receiver room, I don't think America's really up on this. Georgia fans know. They've been paying a lot of attention. That's a nasty wide receiver room. And it may be that is like the alpha position group on that team. It's not finesse, guys, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like even Branch, the kid they got from USC, he is very quick, but I'm just telling you there's no one that's shying away from stalk blocking in that wide receiver room. Colby Young's back. So they have got a really good assortment of talent in the receiver room, and they got a lot of, dogs in many different uses of the word in the receiver room. So I know that they love to clip me hating on that team around there, even though I never do. But I'm not giving you any of that tonight. I'm pretty high on Georgia. Next up, I was at Oregon. What's tonight? Sunday? I went up to Oregon Friday, hung out with them, watched practice. I am in a weird position with Oregon. I think that's the best collection of talent Lanning's had since he's been there. But yet there are some hinge points that are going to determine whether they're capable of competing for the Big Ten championship this year. It's not Dante Moore, actually. Dante Moore I feel great about. Dante Moore is going to be a stud. So I got very little question about him. He played at UCLA, came back to Oregon, sat a year. He fits well in the system. My questions and my potential hinge points are, I really wonder if that wide receiver room is going to have the depth that it needs to it, the versatility that it needs to it. I very much believe in DeCorian Moore. I think they got everything they thought that they were getting with him. But just how that wide receiver room shakes out and how many other guys you have capable of, like a 650 receiving yard type year. Any given week, they could go off for 180. Like, that's the kind of receiver room, that's the kind of depth they need. Oregon's not going to have like another guy that goes off for 1,500 yards, like a Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith. That guy's not in there. If he is in there, it's DeCorian Moore. But behind him, what I kind of watched with them is I watched how many different guys do I see that could be a virtual non-factor for a couple of weeks on the stat sheet and then have 6 catches for 189 and 2 touchdowns. That is one of the hinge points. And the other hinge point to me is running back depth because I kind of had an idea in the spring that I thought I knew how the pecking order, the depth would roll out there. I think it probably a little bit more by committee than, I would have said in spring, which is okay. That's why you recruit. It's not, sometimes when you say we got to go running back by committee, it means, oh no, we don't have anyone who can play. That's not the case. What it means is you don't have one player infinitely above and beyond the rest of the room. That could just mean you got 3 B+ level players. It doesn't automatically have to mean, since we don't have an A-, we got a bunch of C's. That doesn't have to be the case. But they got a lot of good players, man. The offensive line's a strength there. And so you're going to give Dante Moore every chance to succeed. You're going to be giving those tailbacks every chance to succeed. You're going to give that wide receiver room every chance to sort itself out. But, it's not a shock. Oregon's a good team. It's a really good collection of talent. And it doesn't hurt this year the way last year ended. That doesn't hurt motivation either. Hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round, and we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. Went to Alabama this weekend, watched them scrimmage Saturday, and I had a towel thrown over my head the whole day to avoid just a crisis of a sunburn situation on the show tonight. The first thing I want to talk to you about is you probably heard about Jam Miller, the number 1 tailback there, getting hurt. Candidly, I didn't know it had happened, and I was on the field watching the whole thing. It sounds like it is, they called it an upper body, so I'll leave it at upper body. I think most of the message board culture has pretty much figured out what it is. The important thing is I don't expect him to be lost for the whole year. I expect him, based on what I've heard, to be ready probably for league play, which I think for them, looking at the schedule here, is the Georgia game, September 27th. That can change, but I expect him to be at or close to ready to go by the time they open league play. The thing that stood out the most to me about Alabama is people are right when they talk about the depth and quality of depth in that secondary. That secondary's good, man. To the point where if they were to show their scrimmages on TV, it would make sense. But since they don't show them on TV and they're kind of close to the public, little snapshots and like bits and pieces get out, and it's like out of context, and you find out, so-and-so started today. That means the depth chart has changed. No, it's, at least as far as I can tell, that's not really what it is. They just got more guys than they have starting positions for, and so they can afford to rotate and experiment a little bit in especially a scrimmage situation. And so, you got guys running with the 1s who may not start against Florida State. You got guys running with the 2s that may start against Florida State. Here's what I know, though. I didn't tell much of a difference between them. That's what I know. They got freshmen on that team that I know good and well aren't going to start unless there are injuries that could start at most places in the league this year, including places that are known for defense. So that Alabama secondary is good. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I did. That secondary is good, and that defense is good. They had a physical scrimmage yesterday. They hit. Dude, they get after it in scrimmages. If you were to go and watch and someone told you, hey, man, Saban is still the head coach here, you'd say, yeah, this feels like a Nick Saban practice. It makes me nervous watching it because, I know, hey, you're trying to simulate a game-like condition here, but this is not a game. And if guys get hurt here, they can't play in a game. But yet then on the other side, there's only one way to get ready to play a game, and that is to simulate game conditions. But intensity, the hitting, the tackling, off the charts. To me, it's the best kind of scrimmage you can see. I know I was driving back home last night, and I was listening to some podcasts. I was talking to some folks, and, people will hear someone threw an incompletion, someone throws a pick, someone didn't score, and like they draw conclusions from scrimmages. Here's what you want to come away from a scrimmage thinking. This team could win a game 19-13, and this team could win a game 41-31. Because there is so much unpredictability in a football season. What I can tell you about Alabama, from what I've seen in the spring and what I saw yesterday, is I'm fully confident that team could hold a team to 12 if they need to, and they could score 40 if they need to. That's not a guarantee they'll win anything or lose anything. It's a guarantee that they're a very dynamic team, and those are the ones that give themselves the best shot to win at the end of the year. So that's a very impressive team. Very impressive. It's no mystery why Ty Simpson won that competition. I think the quarterback depth situation is really interesting too. I think where they'll end up getting, I believe in time, is if they're in the fourth quarter and let's just say they needed to put someone in. I think it would be Austin Mack. I think they'll end up getting to a place where if they knew they were going to be without Ty Simpson on Sunday and they had 6 days to get ready for Saturday, I think they'll get to a place where that's Keelan Russell. And that could be sooner rather than later. But they got 3 quarterbacks that they could really win with. Like they don't have a Heisman contender on that team. At least I don't think they do. They got 3 pretty good quarterbacks on that team. Speaking of quarterbacks, C.J. Carr, Kenny Minchey is still not decided at Notre Dame. And it sounds like they really kind of wanted to make that announcement after the second scrimmage, but someone's got to win the job. And according to Marcus Freeman, no one's won the job yet. So we're watching that. Remember, they open against Miami on a Sunday night in 2 weeks from tonight. Julian Sayin, Lincoln Kienholt said Ohio State. I still maintain that I think it's going to be Julian Sayin, but again, got to win the job. Now, there are theories out there that Ryan Day knows who's going to start, and he just is toying with the media and the fan base, and I have a different theory on that. I think many times there's a guy who the coaches feel will win the job. I think this coaching staff has believed since spring that Julian Sayin will win this job. I think they believe he'll win the job today. He's got to win the job. So it's not disingenuous if you're in that position to not have named a starter yet. Doesn't matter if you've thought the same guy's going to win it since January. He's got to win it. And if he hadn't won it yet, you don't make an announcement for the sake of aesthetics. You don't do that. Even if you open against Texas, you don't do that. Joey Aguilar seems like he's trending to be the starting quarterback at Tennessee. Opinion hadn't changed there. I think it'll be him. And big news out of Lexington. This is not news in a sense that it just happened. It's news that the season's drawing closer, so you're going to find out. The Zach Calzada era is back. Calzada has transferred to Kentucky, and he will be the starting quarterback there. He was at Incarnate Word, I think. So was Cam Ward. Cam Ward 2.0 at Kentucky. I'm the first one to say it. I will be the last one to say it, but I'm definitely the first one to say it. And BYU update. Bear Bachmeier is going to likely be their starting quarterback. That's a true freshman, and that's all we have on that for now on the quarterback front. So fall camp intel is coming very, 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 very hot and heavy right now. It's immunity. I knew it was an immunity the second it started to come out of my mouth.